here we go. So let me pull up this question. This is 4.2, number 4. Okay, I don't know what they're asking for, but I'm just going to go right to the Excel spreadsheet. And then I'll do it on the calculator. Now remember, some of the homework questions are going to ask for things that I don't want. You're just going to have to figure out what they want and type it in. Because I'm not going to let, it's either you do the questions that has the stuff I want you to do, or not do the questions and then be surprised on the test. So I kind of weigh the difference, and the questions that I give you may have something that I'm not asking for on the test, but I'd rather you have the information that's going to be on the test. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If it don't, then I'm sorry. All right, so what I want on the test, I want you to make this big so y'all can see it. And highlight it. Insert. Oh, first of all, let's change the sig figs, or change the just right click on all cells, click the upper left hand corner, right click and go to format cells, and we're going to make it 10 digits just for giggles, so that way you can make sure you're covered. Might make everything a little bit bigger, but all right, insert, and here is your graph. So you know it looks almost what? Linear. So now we're going to take our handy dandy right click, add trend line, go down to linear. Well, it's already set for linear. And there is your two sources of information. Make sure you take the square root of whatever. Hold on a second. I'm going to try to make this bigger. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. There we go. Okay, so write that down. That's all I want. And make sure you can graph. I mean, you got 1 point above the line. So you need to look for 1 point above the line when you pick out your points. Pretty much in a positive slope, a positive correlation. And I can tell you right now that the square root of 0.98884 is going to be very close to 1. So you know you have a positive correlation. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the question, and I'll make this small. Well, I'll just go ahead and minimize it. So I think it's going to be that one. Of course it is. There's a check. But see, that's linear. That one has a line, has a point what? Below or above? Below. And this one is down too far to the origin. So it only has to be that one. Okay. Find the equation of the line containing the point 47. Now, I like this question for a test question, whatever that was. Was that a sneeze? A cough? What was it? A what? Oh, okay. Well, we'll call it a sneeze. No more sneezing. All right. So anyway, that's a joke. So we're going to take our handy-dandy whiteboard, and the reason I like this is because it is, where's my whiteboard? You mean to tell me I didn't pull up the whiteboard of all the things? I pulled up everything except for the whiteboard. Sorry, I suck. The Ukrainians did it. There we go. We got the Ukrainians in there. The Russians did too. Stop, stop. Some people ain't got anything to do. Okay, so I'm going to pull up. Let's see. Where is my question? There it is. Okay, so now the reason I like this is because they integrate doing it by hand. So this is by hand. Y sub 1, x of 1, y sub 1, x of 2, y sub 2. What is your slope? Slope is delta y over delta x, which is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Y sub 2 is 17. Y sub 1 is 7. X sub 2 is 9. X sub 1 is 4. What is 17 minus 7? 10. What is 9 minus 4? So what is the slope? Slope is 2. So y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. Y minus, pick a point. I'm going to pick 4 and 7 because it's what? Smaller. Y minus 7 is equal to 2 times x minus 4. Y is equal to 2x. What's 2 times negative 4? Negative 8 plus 7 is what? So that should be your answer. Now again, I like this one because this one not only integrates the computer and technology, but it integrates by hand. So anyway, which one of these? Well, I told you that 1 point has to be above the what? The line. So the only one that's above the line is that, got to keep going, right? So we keep going. I'm trying. They hadn't got this computer set up. Okay. It says write 3 places. Somebody give me the, is somebody fighting again?
No, there was a car cops just flew by.
Yeah. Fast.
Probably going like 100.
So, you mean somebody was going 100 in the parking lot?
No.
They're important. Anyway, somebody give me 3 digits on the one that we did with the Excel spreadsheet.
1.977.
977. And then what's the y-intercept?
-0.65.
And check answer. And what's next? I don't know. We already did that.
It does it like 3 times.
Why?
I don't. Who asked you this?
Okay, somebody give me R. What is R? Round it to 3 places. Take the square root of that 0.98, whatever.
R is 0.994.
That's the sum of the squares. That's the part that we don't do. So just skip that one. Okay, it's not gonna, or is it R? Oh, they wanted us to round it. Okay. 0.994. It says round to 3 decimal places. 994 does not. Did y'all?
That one, I think I got that one.
Okay, that one. I disagree with that one because that 4 don't round that 9 up. So that's not 1. But, or do they want this one? I don't know what they want. Let's see. Hold on. 0.994. Hell, I don't know what they're wanting here. All I want's R. Wait a minute. I don't know where they're getting that. I'll have to look. Unless they're asking you to look up part D. Oh, compute the sum of squares, residual, least squares, regression found in part D. I have no idea what they're asking for. So let's look and see. Let me look right quick. I think they're doing that tedious math that I told you about. Let me see. Okay, find the slope, find the equation. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. D, by hand. Yeah, this is where you do all that math I don't ask you to do. But there it is. Remember me telling you to skip that in the book? We're not doing that. I just want R, and that's the sum of X and the sum of Y, and that's the sum of SX, and that's a pain.
21 parts.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I don't do it. So you're still not done with D.
So will you remove that question?
No, I'm not going to remove the question. Just get it wrong. It's only like it's only like 1% of 1% of your grade, so don't worry about it. Or I'll give you points at the end of the semester or at the end of your homework. It's not going to affect your grade, people, okay? Okay, I'll change. I'll fix it. When we finish the test, I'll go and I'll give you, how many questions is it on your homework? A lot of them?
Yeah, about 8, 9.
Well, I'll just give you 8 or 9 points on your, I'll just make it good. I'll make it good because I'm not going to ask you to do 12 or 14 parts to a question. So that's the question I was telling you about. A lot of you say, well, why ain't you, because do you want to do 15 parts? I don't. And I didn't know they were on there. I can't go through. The reason I can't go through and take them off is because I can't do that. Once you started the homework, I can't take them off. So what I have to do is give you, see, we're on 1 part remaining out of 15 parts. Okay, so I'm not asking you to do that. So just ignore those last 3 parts. And I'm just going to say B, and minimize. I don't know what. There is no way in Hades I got that right. I can't believe that. Okay, now I think the sum, compute the sum of the square residuals. I think that is R, but I think they rounded. It says round to 3 decimal places. Y'all said, let's look back at the, what is R? Well, let me go back here and I'm going to pull up the, what is R? 0.9984. So I'm going to go 0.9984 raised to the what?
Isn't it 0.9884?
Yes, I'm dyslexic today. 0.9884 raised to the what? 0.5 power. That does not round to 1. Okay, so I think that's incorrect. It's supposed to be 0.994. Now, they may be looking at that 8. I don't know what they're looking at, but 0.994 does not. Now, is it close to 1? Yes, but it does not round to 1. If the directions say round to the 3rd decimal place, that's 0.994. But anyway, just bear with me on those questions, and I'll give y'all points. Just tell me, just remind me after the test is over, remind me how many questions are on the homework, okay? Like that. Can you do that for me? Huh? 4? Okay. Well, just remind me, and I'll fix it on your on your homework, and then I'll find out how many questions there are, and I'll give everybody that same amount of points. Is that fair?
Yes.
Or do y'all want me to just make y'all do those questions?
No.
I don't think so. All right, so we're not going to worry about that one. Just make sure you can do those first 3 or 4 parts on the test question, because I don't think I've got any of those on the test as far as asking for all that 15 parts. I'm not going to do that. All right, 5.1. 5.1, number 9. Okay, let the sample space be blah, blah, suppose the outcomes are equal, to compute the probability of an event, 3, 5, and 9. Okay, well, how many are in the group? How many are in the group? That's the first thing you need to know. There's 10 in the group, right? How many you want to come out? 3. So what's 3 out of 10? 0.3. So you should be 0.3. Now, is this question meant to confuse you? It might not be, but the way it's written, it should say, out of how many attempts, or it should give you that S is the number of attempts, and E is the number that actually what? Happens. If they give it to you that way, you would go, okay, that's 3 over 10. So is that misleading? Is this a misleading question? Yes. I would not put this one on the test. If it does, it's not my fault. Okay, because it's the Ukrainians' fault. This is 5.1. That's the same one. And this is number 8. Probably the same type question. According to a certain country's Department of Education, 40.9% of 3 years old are enrolled in daycare. What is the probability that around is enrolled in daycare?
49.3%.
Okay, let me reread that. According to a country's Department of Education, 40.9% of 3-year-olds are enrolled in daycare. It looks like to me they just want you to write it as a decimal. Can somebody verify if that's...
Yes. That's it.
This is a stupid question, okay? Not stupid that you sent it. It's a stupid question to be in this homework. 0.409. Do not feel bad because you saw what I did when I read the question. What did I do? I had to sit there and reread it because it's just asking you what it should say is according to blah, 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 40.9, what is the decimal form of this? That's what it should say. But this sounds more what? More intellectual. Okay, so we got those questions out of the way. Now let's move on. Let's move on to our last section. And this is it. And this is what we're going to be doing. Everything in 5.5 is about multiplication. And it's about factorial. Some of you know what factorial is. Some of you don't know. Some of you invented it. Okay? But factorial is when you multiply numbers as they are in the universe. So what is 2 factorial? 2 times 1. What is 3 factorial? 3 times 2 times 1. So I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to show you a little example that hopefully for those of you that's never seen it before, you see the pattern. For those of you who invented it, just work on your cancer cure. All right. So here is 2 factorial. Three factorial. Now I write it like that. It's still in the 3 times 2 times 1. I don't know why that's coming up. I guess today is...
Because your mouse is right.
I guess. I don't know what's happening. You can say 3 times 2 times 1, or you can say 3 times the previous factorial. 3 times 2 is what? 6. 4 factorial. You can say 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, or you can say 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. What's 4 times 6?
24.
You get it? Okay, so why is 0 not involved? Because anytime you do 0 times anything, what happens? It zeroes out. So 100 factorial would be 0. 500 factorial would be 0. Your calculator, I think, will go up to like 69 or 68 factorial. Somebody try it. It'll go up to 68. Somewhere around there, it starts to break down. Yes, sir.
Could you explain the 100 factorial? What do you mean by the term 0?
Yeah, if you include 0, where does 0 show up? 0 shows up right beside 1, right? So if you included 0, what would 2 factorial be?
0.
What would 3 factorial be?
0.
Because that last 0 cancels out everything.
But why don't you have it there, but you would have it?
I'm saying if you did include 0. You can't include 0 on factorial because it would annihilate everything. Okay? So, what would 5 factorial be? Well, it would be 5 times 24, which is what?
120.
120. Good job. You didn't even use a calculator for that. I'm impressed. Okay? So 6 factorial would be 720. And so on. Now, to use your calculator, you have to do the second, is it second math? What is it, second? I'm not even, let me see your calculator.
Thank you.
I think it's second apps. Yeah. No. It's math. Somewhere on your calculator is a math button. Okay? Look on there, look, find the math button, and when you get your math button, you move over and it should say probability.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and then go down. So what is it? Second what?
No, it's not
It's
second,
just
that's math.
Okay, math. I was getting messed up with, hold on a second.
It's right here.
Second is, what's it above, or what's,
Math, PRB 4.
okay, what's it above? What, is it above a number or what?
It's above
It's
X
above-
negative
It's above what?
X to negative 1.
It's above x to the negative 1. So x to the negative 1, whatever that is on your calculator, do you have to hit second or alpha or what?
No, you don't.
You let it math.
You just literally hit math.
Okay, anyway, math, I'll just put math on it. And then you move over to probability. And then there's 3 keys there that you need to be aware of. One is factorial, the other is NPR, and the other is NCR. That's what 5.1 consists of. I'm sorry, 5.5. 5.5 consists of those 3 keys. Okay? So that's what we're going to be doing in 5.5. That's why it's called counting, because you're doing large amounts of counting, but you're not doing it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're not doing it like that. You're doing it with the multiplicative law. The multiplication rule of counting is 2 times 3 times 4 times 5. If I have three appetizers, 3 choices of appetizers, 4 choices of a meal, and 2 choices of dessert, then I multiply 3 times 4 times 2. That's what the multiplication rule is. Write that down. If I have 4 choices of appetizers, 3 choices of a meal, and 2 choices of a dessert, then how many combinations do I have? Then you multiply 4 times, that's 4 possibilities of an appetizer, times 3 possibilities of a meal, times 2 possibilities of a what? Dessert. And that would be 4 times 3 times 2. So how many combinations do you have of that meal? 24. Now, if it had been 3 different numbers, it doesn't matter what numbers are. If it's appetizers, meal, and dessert, you just use the multiplicative rule, which means what? 1 times the other times the other. They'll probably give you an example. There we go. So write that one down. You don't have to write it down per word. All you have to write down is appetizer, entree, dessert. I didn't know it was going to use the same one. So appetizer, you have 2 choices. You don't have to write down what they are. Entree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And then how many? 2. So that would be 2 times 4, which is 8. And 8 times 2 is 16. That is a test question. Not only is it a test question on my test, that is a standardized test question. 16. 2 times 8 is 16. Sorry. Did I say 18 or 16? I can't do anything right. There's the factorial symbol. We've already covered that. Here we go. This is what a lot of your tests are going to be made up of. A permutation is a what arrangement? Ordered. I want you to write those few words down. You don't have to write down that whole thing. A permutation is an ordered arrangement, meaning that the subspace is in order. 2 good examples of this would be a trifecta. What's a trifecta?
3 things affecting each other.
Yeah, it's like a race. Usually it's involved with a horse race. Okay? Trifecta and board members. Why? Board members are officers. They have officers. Okay? Committee members do not have officers. Even though some of our Baptist churches, they messed that up. I grew up in a Baptist church, and every committee had officers. You're not supposed to have committees, not supposed to have officers, but our Baptist churches messed that up. And I think probably other churches do too. But anyway, a board has what? It has members. It has officers. I'm a member of the board, land use board of Anderson County. Okay? I'm the chairman. Do I have a vice chairman? Yes. Do we have any other officers? No, because we ain't supposed to handle money. Okay? So if we are handling money, that means we're what? Crooks. All right? Because we're board members. We're not supposed to have money. So I don't have a treasurer. Or the board doesn't have a treasurer. So we only have two what? Officers. Chairman and vice chairman. A committee does not have choices, so they're not ordered. Okay? Trifecta, race, write down trifecta, parentheses, race, comma, board members. And notice there's that symbol, NPR, National Public Radio. N is always your what? Biggest number. P means permutation. I hope everybody's writing this down and not playing on their phone. R is always your smallest number. And they'll probably give you an example here in a second. There's the formula. I want you to write the formula down. We don't do it in here because I don't do busy work. So if anything's busy work, I don't do it. And that formula is busy work. But I want you to write it down. Why? Because you may be asked to use it on a standardized test. Now, I'm going to show you something. If I give you, and this is how this formula works. If I give you 3 factorial over 5 factorial, or 5, I'm sorry. No, that's not right. 5 factorial because, yeah, the top's always bigger. Hold on a second. If I give you 5 factorial over 3 factorial, that's basically what this is right here. When you have n factorial and you subtract r from n, what will the fraction always be? It will always be improper, right? So you'll always get something like this. This is what happens. 5 times 2 times... Okay, there's no 4 anymore. It just skips 4. You know, that's great. Now I can't get... I think I'm on drugs this morning. 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 3 times what? And what happens to the 3 factorial? They cancel. Now, some of you may have seen this before. Some of you may not. But basically, 5 times 4 is what? So you can hypothesize 5 factorial over 3 factorial is 20. Okay? That's what happens with this formula right here. As long as you know the formula in your notebook, and as long as you know that, I'm going to let you use your calculator, okay? Because that's all they'll, that's what you need to do on a standardized test. Know this formula. If they don't, they may show it to you, and you need to know how to use it. Well, if n is equal to 5, and r is equal to 2, then you're going to get that right there. I don't know how it started writing red, and I didn't change it, but we all know who did it.
Ukrainians.
And the Russians. Might as well get in trouble for both. The YouTube police are going to come get me. So how do you use your calculator? Well, let's do this one. Take your calculator and type in 5. Then math. Then go down to NPR. And then type in 2. And what do you get? It's a miracle. Y'all are learning so much in here. Next. There's an example. And I want you to write this one down. You don't have to write it word for word. This is a kind of question you'll see on a standardized test or my test. It says, how many ways can 10 horses finish first, second, third? First, second, and third at a race is called a trifecta. So how do you do that? Well, 10 is equal to n. Why? It's the big number. 3 is the smallest number. Where'd 3 come from? Exactly. I've never been able to hold 3 upright, so I have to do it like that. Something's wrong with one of my fingers. So 10, and I want you to write how they did it right there. And of course, I want you to cancel out the 7 factorial. The only reason I want you to copy down what they did is that way you'll have it. So copy down and then take your handy dandy red pen, virtual red pen. Oh, really? Hold on a second. Is that it? No. Is that it?
Yes.
Thank you. And cancel out. Okay, I heard a zipper. Is it convulsion time? Is it? No, it's not. Okay, and then what's 10 times 9 times 8? Well, that's going to be a big number, but we can do it. You don't need a calculator. What's 9 times 8?
72.
And then multiply by 10? It's a miracle. 720. So write that one down and keep it as and make sure you highlight it. Highlight at least the question, because you will see that again, whether it's in this class or whether you take a ACT or SAT or your mom and dad pays $10,000 to get you into Tri-County Tech's program, whatever. Y'all don't have any idea what I'm talking about, do you?
The scandal.
Yeah, the scandal out there in California. I think that governor out there has lost his damn mind.
Is that governor?
Huh?
Is that governor?
The governor out there. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff out there. But they're banning straws. That's a good thing. Even though homeless drug needles are washing into the ocean, they're banning those daggum straws. Those straws are deadly. A combination is without what? There you go. So all you got to say, a combination, or just put combination equals without order. Guess what this is? This is your committees, and this is your lottery questions, which you will see a lottery question on any standardized test, because we all know that playing the lottery is important. And you do the combination with what? NCR. And here's the formula. Is it much like the first formula? Yes, but you have R factorial, an additional R factorial on the bottom, which makes the denominator bigger. If the denominator is bigger, that means that the function is going to be smaller. So all you have to write down is, you know, the n is the biggest number. You know, r is the smallest number. So you just plug in what? And cancel. And then calculate. So it's going to put a problem up here. It's either going to be a committee or a lottery. Okay, I don't know how many different random samples size 4. Okay, so the size 4 committee. Okay, so what's n? 20. What's r?
4.
And then I want you to copy down this down here so you'll have it in your notes. Now, after you copy it, I want you to put 20, then math, then NCR, then 4. And it should give you 4,000 845. Question, gripe, complaint. Now, we've got Tuesday to go over any of these questions. We're not going to have a test Tuesday, but it does look like Thursday is the day that we might review for the Unit 2 test. Which some of your homework, I think half of your homework is due now Monday. Some's due tonight and some's due Monday. So those of you that hadn't done a damn thing, you might want to get on the ball. Which is about 5 or 6 of you. Only 5 or 6. I'm sorry. So make sure you get 48, 45 on your calculator right quick. And do you still have things cancel? Yes. 16 is going to cancel. But the 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, is it still going to be there? Yes. Make sure you understand that. Can you cancel more than once? No. So, see this 16 right here? That 16 is going to cancel with that 16, but you're still going to be left with what? That. You can't cancel twice. So, the only thing you're going to have to do is, that's what they're showing you right here, is they cancel in the 16s, and you're left with this number over 24. 2 very easy formulas. They're easy to understand. They're easy to plug and chug, but you can use your what? Calculator to do it. I want to get to the handy dandy. I'd like to get to the lottery question, but write this one down. The number of permutations of n objects are given for the second kind, blah, blah, blah. N factorial over the first factorial times the second factorial times the third factorial. You just need to write this down right here. This is permutations with non-distinct items. I do not test you on this, but you will see some in the homework, and you will see it on standardized test. And the main thing you need to do here, when you see the example, is make differentiation from this example from the others, okay? So, and you don't have to write all that other stuff, but just write down the formula. Meaning you're going to take the total factorial and you're going to divide by the separated to get that in, what you had to add to get that in. So here's an example. How many different vertical arrangements are there of 10 flags? Write down flag. Flags is what they usually do on a standardized test. Is this a big deal in real life? No. That's why I don't test you on it. We seek the number of permutations of 10 objects. So 10 goes where? On top. What are they asking for? 5. The smallest one goes on the bottom. So that's 10 factorial over what? So then the 5 factorial does what? What happens to 5 factorial? Cancels out, and you're left with 72 times 7 times 6. Use your dang calculator on that one. Unless you're Rain Man. And if you're Rain Man, you shouldn't be here at Tri-County Tech. You should be in Las Vegas. What gets me is some of y'all have no idea who I'm talking
My
about.
dad calls me Rain Man.
What?
My dad calls me Rain Man.
Well, that's a compliment. He's saying you're smart.
You know, when I was a kid, I used to repeat myself a lot.
You're supposed to go with the smart and leave it at that. All right. So if you don't know who Rain Man is, what should you do? Should you go through life being ignorant, or should you Google it?
Isn't he that guy with savant syndrome?
Yeah. And he's actually still, I think he's still living. But they did a movie about him. You have to watch the movie or Google it.
And he like worked on Wall Street?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
When I did that in the calculator, the 10 factorial,
Mm-hmm.
It didn't give me the same number as,
No, you can't do 10 factorial. 10 factorial does not give you this. What happens to the 5s? So you have to do 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6.
If you do that, you get 30,240.
I don't think you just cancel the 5, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was 5 times 3 times 2. My bad. I didn't even look at this. I thought it was 5 times 3 times 2. My bad. I suck. At least I tell you I suck. At least I don't. You know the worst thing? I had teachers like this. You know what's worse than a teacher making a mistake? The one that won't admit it and tries to show you that that really works. Yeah, I screwed up. I thought it was 5 times 3 times 2. My bad. So the 5s cancel. Thank you, ma'am. You brought that up back in the back. You did good. Give me a candy bar for free. Okay, so 5 factorial cancels. I wish I had $1. I'd buy one off of you today.
But still, even if you do that, you still don't get the right.
What?
Still, you do that, you still get 25,000.
No, you should be able to get the right answer. You got to take 3 factorial, which is what? 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6. 2 factorial is 2, so 12 is on the bottom. Right? And then the big number's on the top, so you take the big number and divide by 12. All right, let's do that since some of y'all are having trouble with it. Yes, you're having trouble with it, so we'll stop the class for you. If I can stop the class, I can't even find, where'd my calculator go? Damn Russians. Hold on a second.
So we're back to Russian.
Yeah, we're back to Russians. We've made fun of the Ukrainians. We're going to get in trouble.
I feel like you get more in trouble with Russian.
Actually, Russia's not a threat, really, because their economy is about the size of Rhode Island. So, China's a threat, but they're in a revolution, and they got Hong Kong to worry about right now. All right, here we go. So, what's the bottom? 3 factorial, so I'm going to go 3. Let's see, was it 3 factorial? 3, math, factorial, probability. I'm doing this for y'all, so is equal to 6. And 2 factorial, so 12 on the bottom. Now, what was the top one? 10 factorial?
30,240.
Okay, you already did it? So if you take that and divide by 12, what do you get?
2,520.
So you do get the answer. Thank you. Okay. And there we go. Done. There we go. 2,520. Sorry about that. Now, again, I don't test you on this, but remember, the only thing you have to remember is the big number, factorial, over what? 5 factorial times 3 factorial times 2 factorial. These right here.
So, Mr. Winter,
Yes.
whenever you're having an equation like that,
Mhm.
you start to do the factorial with like the 10 factorial, and you break it down, do you go, so like, could that happen for any, I guess, so like you had 20 factorial on top?
Yeah.
And you had 10 factorial on the bottom?
Then the 10 factorials would cancel.
Okay.
But this one's not like that. This one has a 5 factorial, but it's also multiplying by 3 factorial, so it's a different animal. Okay? What I said in the previous slides, or whatever you call them, if you have this 10 factorial over 3 factorial, is this the same as that? No. 2 different animals. This is a cat and this is a tiger. Okay, they both have 4 paws and a tail, but they're different animals. This goes, 10 times 2, 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And this is 3 times 2 times 1, those cancel.
Okay.
Okay, now, this one, you can cancel. You can cancel the 5 factorial and that 5 factorial, but you can't cancel. See, I thought it was like this when I first looked at it. I mean, when I was doing it. I didn't even notice the factorials, and that's why I canceled them out. That's not, you can only cancel out these 2. Okay? And then you have to, this is 12. And this is, what'd you say this number was right here?
30,240.
30,240?
Yes, sir.
And if you divide that, you'll get 2520. So make sure you know how to do flags for your homework and for standardized test. I need to look at the time before y'all start to self-combust. Okay, let's go ahead and call it a day, because I want to wait on the lottery. Now, you should be able to start 5.5, but don't do the lottery questions yet. Everybody with me? Okay, so let me turn off the